by someone you think is going to help you not be successful, now would be a really good time to find a different spot. I know sometimes it's really hard when you're sitting by your best friend to not just talk to your neighbor. I love how Kelly's eyes are watching me. That shows me that she's ready to go, and her hands are folded in her lap. Oh. All right, let's get started. So, I don't have them today, but let's think about blueberries. So think about the last time you ate a blueberry, and then tell me what you feel. Like, what does it look like? What does it taste like? Does anybody have any thoughts about blueberries?
Yeah. I don't like blueberries.
Oh. All right, well, that's one opinion. Yes?
They're squishy.
They are squishy. What else do you know about blueberries?
They're blue.
They are blue. Good. And just thinking about the word blueberry, it's kind of two words put together. Does anyone have any thoughts about why a blueberry is called a blueberry?
Because it's blue.
Because it's blue. And what kind of fruit is it?
A berry.
It's a berry. Oh, that's great. All right. We're going to talk about a story today where the characters also love blueberries. And I love blueberries. So that's why we're starting off talking about blueberries. But we're going to think about what good readers do when they're reading. So does anyone have any ideas? What does a good reader do inside their brain? They're not saying it out loud, but what are you doing when you're reading a story? Yes,
Turning on their listening ears.
Oh, that is fantastic. So if you're hearing a story, then you're listening really well and paying attention. So if you're reading a story to yourself, what is your brain thinking about while you're reading? Yes?
You make pictures.
Okay, so make some pictures in your mind. Picture what the author's telling you about. Good. What else? Other things? Yes?
You try and remember what happened.
Try to remember what happened, so we're calling it. Good. Anything else?
You feel emotions.
You feel emotions, so you read what their characters are talking about, and then you kind of empathize with them, so that means feel what they're feeling. Good. Those are all great ideas. So today what we're going to do is we're going to think about what our brains, we're going to talk about what our brains are thinking, but we're going to do it out loud. So we wouldn't do this during silent reading time because it'd be distracting to your neighbor. But I'm going to practice doing that, and I'm going to read this book to you, and I'm going to share with you what my brain is thinking while we're doing this. And this will help us become better readers and also help us understand the story a lot better. And this is called thinking aloud. Kind of makes sense, huh? And all good readers do this. You probably do this already, but you don't even know it. So it will be pretty easy to connect it in. And so our goal for this is to understand. So that means to know what it is, and then we're going to utilize, which is a big fancy word of saying we're going to practice using it. So we're going to understand this reading strategy of Think Aloud, and then we're going to use it on our own after I've showed you how it works. And there are three things we're going to do for Think Aloud. There are a whole bunch of different ways we can think aloud, but we're going to focus on three different parts. So, well, two main parts in the breakdown. So the first one is making connections. So we are going to try to make connections with the story, and we're going to make connections from one part of the story to another part of the story. That's called text to text. And then we're going to make connections to ourselves. And I know all of you have great connections that you're very excited to share with me. And then we're also going to think about questions we have while reading. Like, that character did this, so I wonder if maybe this will happen next. So I'm going to pass out these little cards, and I'm going to do the first couple of pages for you. Maybe I'll just pass these around and let you take them yourself. But on one card, we have a C. So if you have a connection while we're reading to yourself or to another part of the story, then you load the C card. And that tells me that you have a connection you want to share with us. And I also have question mark cards. So if you have a question that you think someone else could help answer, or I could answer, or the story could answer, then pull up your question card. Are there any questions before we get started about what we're doing? All right, I'm going to pass this bag around. When you get it, take out a question mark card and a C card. And while you're waiting for that to get to you, you could just listen, because I'm going to practice doing this on the first few pages of the story before you get to do it yourselves. So here we go. This is called Blueberries for Sale. And if you're sitting somewhere where you can't see very well, this would be a good time to move to make sure you can see all the pictures. Okay, here we go. One day, little Sal went with her mother to Blueberry Hill to pick blueberries. Oh, I love blueberries. I like blueberries too, just like little Sal. So that was me making a connection to me. Little Sal brought along her small tin pail, and her mother brought along her large tin pail to put berries in. "We will take our berries home and can them," said her mother. "Then we will have food for the winter." I wonder if this book is written in our time, because I'm noticing when I look at I'm noticing the mom's clothes in here, and I'm noticing their car, and they don't look quite like our clothes do now, and they don't look like our cars do now. So I'm wondering if this is maybe written in the past, so maybe like the 1950s or something like that, because everything looks a little bit old-fashioned, just from the style of dress. Interesting. So I wonder that. Oh, do you have a connection?
It looks like the pictures of my grandma.
Interesting. So your grandma would probably have grown up about that same time. Great connection. Thanks for sharing that with us. Little Sal picked up 3 berries and dropped them into her little tin pail. Kaplink, kaplink, kaplunk. Oh, I've noticed that too when I'm blueberry picking, that it makes different noises depending on how many berries you have. Yes, we have another connection.
It also sounds like when poo goes pick, pick.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for sharing that with us. I love how you're showing me your connections with your cards and not turning your voices on. Good job. That's really helpful. It's really respectful to other students because then you're not taking away from their learning time. She picked 3 more berries and ate them. Then she picked up more berries and dropped one in the pail. Kaplunk. And the rest she ate. Then little Sal ate all 4 blueberries out of her pail. Yes, Kelly, do you have a connection?
It reminds me of when I pick blackberries and I sometimes eat the juiciest ones.
That's true. It's hard to wait when you have that pocket full of yummy berries. It's hard to wait till winter to eat them in cans. Yes, you have a question.
Don't we have to clean berries before we eat them so we don't get sick?
That's a really good question. Well, this was said a long time ago, and I wonder if they didn't use quite as many fertilizers back then. So maybe it was so you're right, though. If we buy it from the store, we usually want to make sure they're clean. Maybe it's an organic farm. You don't use pesticides.
Maybe that's where PCC gets them.
I'm also noticing it kind of looks like it might just be in nature, so maybe they're just out in the wild somewhere too. Her mother walked slowly through the bushes, picking up blueberries she went and putting them in her pail. Little Sal struggled along behind, picking blueberries and eating every single one. I remember when I would go blueberry picking with my family, my mom would ask the people if we had to pay for all the blueberries we ate because we'd eat so many. Yes, Serena?
I wonder if little Sal's going to get sick because he's eating so many blueberries. Because one time I ate lots of blueberries and I got sick.
So that's a good connection too. Thanks for sharing that. Kelly?
I wonder if they're in the wild, how do they know that the berries are edible, and how do they know not to pick berries that might hurt them?
That's a great question. You never want to eat any berries without asking your mom or dad first to make sure it's okay.
Why doesn't his mom her mom get mad at her for eating blueberries?
You know, that's a great question. Later on in the story, she does talk a little bit more about it, but it looks like if she's taken the time to take little Sal blueberry picking, she's probably a pretty kind mom, so she probably wants her to have a good time too. Little Sal, how old do we think little Sal is in this book? She looks pretty little.
4.
So maybe 3 or 4. So maybe she doesn't expect too much out of her because she's still just a little older than a baby. Yes?
Why are all the pictures blue?
You had a good observation. Because they are all blue. There aren't any colors. But yet I can still picture it pretty well in my mind. Does anyone else have an idea? Why do you think the author had the illustrator, the person who drew the pictures, make it blue? Yes?
Because there's blueberries in there, and then those are
I hadn't thought of that before, but that's a good idea. Anyone else? Yeah, I'm not sure why it's blue. That's a really good question, but it's just a different style of drawing. Can you still picture it in your mind, though? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, you're doing a great job with those connections and questions. I want you to notice in the next couple pages, there's going to be a pattern that starts coming up. And keep your eye out and see if you can pick up on that pattern while we're doing this. Little Sal hurried ahead and dropped a blueberry in her mother's pail. It didn't sound complete because the bottom of the pail was already covered with berries. She reached down inside to get her berry back. Though she really didn't mean to, she pulled out a large handful because there were so many blueberries right up close to the one she had put in. Oh man, this will help with your question. Her mother stopped picking and said, "Now, Sal, you run along and pick your own berries. Mother wants to take her berries home and can them for next winter." Yes?
What does can mean?
Oh, what a great question. So canning, so you take the berries and I think they boil them and they make them really hot and add sugar and some other ingredients in there, and then they'll keep for a long time. Well, if you make jam. Obviously, I don't can things very often. But it makes it so you seal them up so they're good for a long time and they don't go bad, so you can eat them later. And if this is a long time ago, maybe they didn't have quite as many freezers, or they probably had refrigerators back then, but maybe they didn't use them quite as much. Yes?
We do that at home for applesauce.
All right, so do you want to share a little bit more about canning with everybody? Anything you know? All right. Her mother went back to her picking, but little Sal, because her feet were tired of standing and walking, sat down in the middle of a large clump of bushes and ate blueberries. Yes?
Are blueberries prickly like raspberries and blackberries?
They don't have prickers on them, but you sometimes get a little scratched by the branches. I'm a little surprised because these are very short blueberry bushes, but when I've gone blueberry picking, they've been really tall, taller than me. So maybe it's because they're wild blueberries, I don't know. On the other side of Blueberry Hill, Little Bear came with his mother to eat blueberries. "Little Bear," she said, "eat lots of berries and grow big and fat. We must store up food for the long, cold winter." Yes?
I'm connecting that that's what the mom said to the little boy at the beginning of the story.
Oh, so little Sal and her mother were storing up food for the winter, and Little Bear and her mother are too. Oh, I like how you're connecting that together. Yes?
How come little Sal how come she's not storing up blueberries by eating them?
I think she kind of is a little bit, huh? But, so bears go to sleep all winter long, and so they need lots of food before they go to sleep so they can keep those nutrients, keep their body going throughout the winter. But we don't go to sleep for the whole winter, so we can keep eating food as we go. Let's keep noticing those connections. Little Bear followed behind his mother as she walked slowly through the bushes eating berries. Little Bear stopped now and then to eat berries. Then he had to hustle along to catch up. He looks like he's a little baby too, just like little Sal. Because his feet were tired of hustling, he picked out a large clump of bushes and sat down right in the middle and ate blueberries. Yes, connection over here.
Little Sal did that too.
Oh, interesting.
Feet tired of everything.
Over on the other side of the hill, little Sal ate all of the berries she could reach from where she was sitting. Then she started out to find her mother. Yes.
I wonder if she's gonna find the bear.
Oh, what makes you think that?
She's on the other side of the hill, and the bear's on the other side of the hill. She's gotta go find her mother.
Interesting. So we don't know how far away they are from each other, but maybe they'll bump into each other. That's an interesting prediction. Let's find out. She heard a noise from around a rock and thought, "That is my mother, walking along." Do you think it's going to be her mother? Let's find out. But it was a mother crow and her children, and they stopped eating berries and flew away saying, "Caw, caw, caw." Then she heard another noise in the bushes and thought, that is surely my mother, and I will go that way. Who do you think will be on the other side this time? Any ideas? Let's see.
Would be a bear.
Let's find out. Oh, Lexi was right. And Serena too. But it was Little Bear's mother instead. She was tramping along, eating berries and thinking about storing up food for the winter. Little Sal tramped right on. Didn't read it all the way. Little Sal tramped right along behind. Yes, question.
Is the bear gonna eat her?
Bears are scary. If you ever meet a bear, you do not want to tramp along behind the bear. I really hope not, but let's find out. By this time, Little Bear had eaten all the berries he could reach without moving from his clump of bushes. Then he hustled off to catch up with his mother. He hunted and hunted, but his mother was nowhere to be seen. He heard a noise from over a stump and thought, that is my mother walking along. Yes.
Little Sal did that too.
Oh, do you think it will be Little Bear's mother around the corner?